Are you terrible at dancing? Have you ever wished that your fish could teach you how to move to the beat? Well, let me introduce you to someone who's beautiful, stays under an inch, and really can move. Elassoma Gilberti. Elassoma Gilberti is a really pretty nanofish. They come in just under 1 inch, making it one of the smallest fish species in the US, and they have a lifespan of around 1 to 2 years. Males in full color are dark black with bright blue highlights that truly have to be seen to be believed. While I did my best to color this footage to be as true to in person as possible, it's hard to overstate the brightness of the blue. Females are more plainly colored with speckled, grayish beige bodies, and breeding females usually have that bright blue dash underneath their eyes, although they may have some fainter blue highlights in other areas as well. Elassoma comes from the Greek words elasson, which means smaller, and the Greek word soma, which means body. Gilberti was given to honor Dr. Carter R. Gilbert and his contributions to the study of North American fishes. Gilbert was the curator of fishes at the Florida Museum of Natural History from 1961 to 1998 and helped contribute a lot to the research of North American fishes. The family Elassoma today are endemic to the southeastern United States. Endemic meaning they are restricted to a certain place. This is the only place they're found. Originally, it was considered the same as E. okaphenoke, which is another kind of Elassoma. They look very similar, but upon further investigation, they found that there were genetic, anamorphic, and morphological traits that were different. The difference between them may mean nothing to you, but it means something to me. And what it means is, I really need to Google a lot more words. Elassoma gilberti is distinguished from its close relative E. okaphenoke by possessing 4 pores in the prepedunculated canal on each side of the head, and usually 7 anal fin rays. Okaphenoke usually had 3 pores, and when they took a closer look at Elassoma gilberti, which was then considered to be okaphenoke, they found they had 4 pores, which made them distinct from the true okaphenoke, and thus Gilberti was born. Don't ask me what that means. We'll save that for the deep dive video, but just trust me, it helps us determine the difference. The breeding females at Elassoma gilberti have a distinct blue dash below and behind the eye, which are lacking in female E. okaphenoke. Otherwise, the two species are almost identical or broadly overlapping in meristic, morphometric, and color features. The feeding. These are ambush predators, so in the wild they're hanging out, lurking, waiting for an aquatic insect or maybe a small crustacean to appear so they can, kill. So, I mean, if you've had pea puffers, you already know the vibes, you know exactly what's up. These guys need some live food, they need some frozen food. I've read 1 or 2 people claiming to have gotten a small amount of their populations to eat prepared foods. I'm not sure that is sustainable unless someone has cracked the code on training them to eat prepared foods. Otherwise, prepare yourself to save a spot in the freezer or a spot in the fish cabinet for a culture of grindle or microworms or some frozen foods. But if you're a fish savant that has figured out how to train these guys onto prepared foods, please leave a comment below because we're all dying to know. Males can be territorial towards each other, especially during breeding, and they will guard the spawning site, which can be hilarious seeing how they chase off things, even if they're bigger than them. One of the funniest things I've seen is a shrimp getting body slammed by a male that was protecting his spawning location. But besides chasing things off, there shouldn't be any serious or concerning damage done, and they're generally peaceful towards other fish of a similar size. The main consideration for keeping them in a community tank really isn't the temperament. Their temperament's just fine. The problem is their lifespan and maximizing that potential for reproduction. Now the good thing is they're not like the annual killifish as far as the Northos and things like that, where you gotta take out the eggs, put them in peat and dry them. They do spawn pretty readily, often, but most people, because they only live 1 to 2 years, they want to maximize the reproduction potential. So that's usually the reason why people keep them on their own. However, you can colony breed them to an extent, and I've had some success in this 20-gallon long here with having the adults in and fry showing up and making it to adulthood. And I'm starting to see which kind of fish I can have them with and have some fry make it, but it is still kind of an unknown thing. So if you really want to make sure you're sustaining a population, keep that in mind. The males have a mating strategy similar to what you might see at a green turtle in a college town. They will go out there on the dance floor, as you were, and present their beautiful colors and display their grasp on groove and motion. And if the female's impressed, if he looks good, not too threatening, not too weird, she might accept the invitation to dance, and the spawning will commence. The females will accept the invitation to dance and will lay their eggs in moss, floating plant roots, and other similar media. Yarn mops have been used successfully by many people for them to lay eggs in, and it seems like it's not too difficult to find something that they will like. After a few days, the eggs will hatch and the fry will come out extremely small and usually go to the top. The hardest part about breeding them really is just having the tools equipped to feed the fry. If you do have a lively tank with a lot of things going on, a lot of microfauna and plants and that are growing small little things they can eat, then it's not as bad, but usually it would be good to have some microworms or vinegar eels, small foods that they can eat so you can help grow them fast, because they grew kind of slow for me until I started feeding them 2 or 3 times a day with microworms and grindleworms and stuff, and it went a lot faster. And of course, baby brine shrimp would be fantastic for them after they're big enough to eat it. So now the main way to spawn them that people like to do is get something like a 1-gallon jar or another small container, put a pair in there, and let them do their thing, let the male do his dancing, and then after a few days, pull them out, and in weeks really, you'll start to notice little babies in there if the spawn was successful. Now the thing is that the babies are very tiny, so there have been times where I thought a spawn was not successful, and then I looked in a tank after I already put other fish in there and been like, wait, is that an Elassoma back there? Like, dog. So they're really sneaky. They hide, they creep around, and you might not even notice that babies existed. If you do have the ability to set up some kind of jar or something like that for them to spawn in and the fry to hatch in, then that's definitely an easy way to do it and save space, so you don't have to set up a whole other tank for it. But beyond their diet, this fish is extremely undemanding. Their size and their behavior in nature leads them only needing to have a small tank. The cool thing about this fish is they are a native fish. They are native to Florida. So if you're someone that enjoys, not just keeping fish from all over the world, because they're beautiful fish all over the world, but if you're one of those people that has started to realize that we have some really incredible looking fish in our own country, maybe in your backyard, depending on where you live, then this might be something that is appealing to you. And one of the great things about keeping a native fish is that a lot of the temperatures and parameters that they prefer should be able to be met in almost every single household. For instance, their temperature ranges from 4 degrees to 22 degrees Celsius, and here's the Fahrenheit calculation, because I didn't memorize that before recording this for some reason. Almost any home should be able to obtain and sustain those temperatures in the United States and in a lot of other countries too. I would hope that your house doesn't get below 4 degrees Celsius. Sounds pretty uncomfortable to me, but hey, maybe you're just that warm-blooded and cold-hearted. So really, as far as nanofish goes, it doesn't get much more easy than this. I mean, the diet is something to overcome, but honestly, it's really not that bad. And a lot of people, if you're going down the fish keeping rabbit hole, you've probably managed to acquire some kind of live culture, or are used to feeding frozen foods every now and then. Of course, you should keep their diet a little bit varied for optimal nutrition, and I find that grindleworms is a really great thing to feed them. They're not overly aggressive. You could have your own little community and sprinkle them out through different tanks, and have your breeding community that is pretty flexible. The parameters are not demanding, they're easy to meet, and they don't require a lot of space. So in my head, I'm thinking, why aren't these guys more popular? And I think the main reason is they just haven't started being bred on that scale. But hopefully more people, more hobbyists will start keeping them and breeding them, and we might see these guys pop up a little bit more often. Now, where can you get them? There's some fish stores like Wild Fish Tanks, Dan's Fish, some of those places that get a little bit more of the offbeat fish, a little bit more of the unusual stuff. There's some native fish places you can buy them. You can buy them off of Facebook groups, actually, is where I ordered mine. In one of the Elassoma Facebook groups, there's some people in there that sell them. Elassoma Gilberti particularly is a little bit more difficult to come across. You'll see Elassoma evergladii a bit more often. My local fish store gets them in pretty regularly, but they're out there if you look, and if we all start keeping and breeding them, they'll be out there everywhere we look. I hope you guys love this fish as much as I do, and I'm glad that everyone's been, you know, checking out the Isopod video. I just wanted to say thanks. It was a really fun video to make, and seeing all these people appreciate it and being as into the isopods as I am just really validates and makes me feel so excited. So you guys really motivated me to make this video as well, and hopefully I can keep making videos on some topics you're interested in. I might cover some more common fish in the next few days, but I do really want to do videos on things that I'm into that might be a little bit less, you know, typical than the average fish keeper might be aware of. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed this about Elassoma Gilberti. Ada says that she approves this message. This video was sponsored and approved by Ada the cat. She is not a hostage. She is simply being held against her will because it's time to eat.